Does anybody feel strongly one way or another? GIFs versus GIFs. Anybody not know what that is? So, GIFs. I'm in the GIF camp, but I don't start any wars. I'm easy with that. Let me just see if I can. All right. So this is going to be not really a typical session, in that I have 0 PowerPoint slides to show you. This is going to be very interactive. If you have computers, feel free to follow along with me. Otherwise, this will be recorded, and you can access it later. It's going to be a lot of show and tell. So I recently wrapped up a 4-part series on the Canvas community about instructional technology. Did anybody see any of those? Nobody saw any of those. I think one of those. But this is going to take that same approach in that I'm going to talk about a few technologies. It'll be a little bit fast-paced, but it should plant some seeds in your mind, some ideas of what you can do, how you can incorporate this. So I'm talking about integrating social media in Canvas. So I created a course. Instead of a PowerPoint presentation, I'm actually going to walk through a course that I created. This course is open for you. I don't think I've put it on Canvas Commons yet, but it's a public course, so the address is right here, tinyurl.com/instacon0017. You can access it. You don't have to be enrolled in my institution or anything. So you can follow along. You can visit these pages. I'm going to be talking about 4 different social media platforms. We're going to look at Pinterest, Twitter, Padlet, and YouTube. Padlet might be the one that you haven't heard of, but I think it's really interesting, so I thought I wanted to talk about that one. So I'm going to first hop over to Pinterest. Anybody not know what Pinterest is? I mean, we know what Pinterest is, right? It's where you have your home improvement projects and you pin ideas, or your flower gardens or whatever, home decor. It can be used in education as well. And so I have a Pinterest page up here. Let's say I'm logged into Pinterest. I'm at She-Towner. We're in the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. So I started pinning some boards a few years ago. I haven't been very active about curating these the last couple of years, but in a different role. When I was an e-learning specialist, I kept up with these Pinterest boards. And so I'd find articles and I'd put them up, and it was a good way for me to curate these. But this can be used in the classroom as well. If you have relevant articles that you want to share with your class, you can put them on a Pinterest board, and it can be updated live throughout the semester. You can put it on a content page or an assignment page. You can also invite students to collaborate on the Pinterest board, so that could be a form of assignment. Have a group Pinterest board or a class Pinterest board. It could be an assessment, or it could just be an optional thing. Hey, let's all share the ideas. So going back to the page, this is what my Pinterest board looks like in my course. It's embedded in my course, and I can scroll down. This happens to be a board on infographics. So I have a lot of infographics, and I can scroll here. If I were to pin a new thing, either on mobile or on my web browser, it updates automatically within Canvas, so there's not much work that you have to do there. And then there's the code. I'm going to talk through the code. Nobody panic. No panic attacks at this point, but I am going to show you a little bit of HTML. All we're going to be doing for the most part today is just some basic copying and pasting, so don't worry about it. But I think it's really important for us to learn, because once you learn how to embed something in Canvas, if you don't already, then it opens up a lot of doors for you. So I want to put a Pinterest board in a class. So I'm going to select a board, any of these boards. It can be your board, it can be somebody else's board, it can be whatever, a class board. So I'm on my Pinterest board here, and I'm going to click on those 3 dots way at the top there, and I'm going to make a widget. And the widget is what I'm going to put in my course. And I'll note that you can put this in a content page, on an announcement, in a discussion, in the instructions, or on a discussion post if you wanted to, on an assignment page, anywhere where there's a rich text editor or the HTML editor. You can put pretty much all of this content that I'm going over today. You can include it. So there are options. I'm going to build a widget. I can put a save button. I probably don't want to do that. Follow button. I'm going to put a Pinterest board, which is what I showed you over there. So I click on board. Here's the URL for the board, which will be pinterest.com/your username / the name of the board that you want to put on there. For the size, it's default square. I'm going to go ahead and create my own, and then I'm going to look at the image width, the board height, the board width. Now this is 400 wide. which is the width of where you see the image. You can kind of see a preview here. The width of where you see the images, not the entire width, about 400. So suppose I want 2 pins wide on a 400. So I'm going to bump this over to 200. Now the preview doesn't do a great job always, but you can see. So if I were to do a 600 wide board and 200, that fits 3 across. Change it to 300. See, that's where the preview's kind of a little bit screwy, but you can do math, and that's basic arithmetic. Even I can handle that. So at the bottom of the page, this is the important stuff. This is the script that you would need. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. It says copy and paste this code into your page where you want your add-on to appear. What I'm going to do, and here's a trick, so I'm going to pull up Notepad, just the basic plain, don't use Word or Microsoft or anything. I'm going to copy that. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and copy this whole thing because it says don't forget to include this JavaScript. And so I'm going to go ahead and copy that whole thing, except for I don't need that part where it says don't forget to include that JavaScript. So I'm going to delete that. And what I do is save it as some place, so Instructure con, but I don't want to save it as a text file. I'm going to click all files, and you can name it whatever you want. Oh, that's the wrong. So that's my reimbursement folder, not my conference folder. But you can name it whatever you want. .html, hypertext markup language is the what. So it's kind of like doc is doc, XLS. This is going to be an HTML file, which means it's an internet file. It's a file that the computer browser reads. And so I already have that saved somewhere, so I'm going to show you, so pretend like I saved that, it's somewhere on my computer. You go ahead and upload that file then into your course. So this is my course, and I think you should have access to my files page as well if you go into my course, and you can see the files that I uploaded. So I'm going to go over to Pinterest. I named the document pinterest.html, and it's just that code that I had copied, and I saved it in a notepad as pinterest.html. And as I hover over it, this gets a little bit tricky, but you can see in the bottom corner, you probably can't see it, but you know how computers work kind of. You can see the URL. Alternately, I can copy the link address right here, and when I paste it up top, you can see the URL. This is what I want. So it's my institution, my instance, TCS edsystem.instructure.com/files, and then there's a number, and then it says download. So that's what I'm going to copy over into my page here. I need that file. So I'm going to hop over to Pinterest. Now that's one bit of code. The widget is a bit of HTML code. I'm going to show you one more HTML code, and I think that's all the HTML that we're going to cover today. But it's at the bottom of the page. And so this is what I got from Pinterest that I showed you. I created the HTML document. And on the page, if you log on there, I talk about the different types, the different things on the code. So the data dash pin board width that you see right here, that would be the width of the Pinterest board, the height, the width of each pin. You can see all those items right here. And then the website where it comes from. And then this, you just ignore that pretty much. You have to have it, but it doesn't really mean anything for us. So the other thing I need is an iframe code. And hopefully, maybe you know what an iframe is, so this is a review, but if you don't, an iframe is essentially an element that, you don't really see it, but it's an element that you have on the web page that can have content in it from another website, from Pinterest, for example. And so the code is iframe, and then you have a source. In between these quotation marks is that link that I have in my files folder that I showed you, that I copied it and I put it on the other frame. And then I put the width. I like to put the width at 99%, which means if it's a large monitor, it'll take up that width. If it's smaller, it'll scale. It'll fit within about 99%. And then the height of the iframe is different. And I'm getting the technical stuff out of the way right at the beginning, so if you're panicking, don't worry, we'll get onto the fun stuff. Through a lot of trial and error as I was preparing for this session, I found the best practice was for the iframe to be about 150 pixels taller than the Pinterest board. And so I put this Pinterest board at about 450 pixels high, and so that means I'll put my iframe at about 600 pixels high. And And the reason is because I want a scroll bar right here so I can scroll the Pinterest frame. And this is the Chrome scroll bar so I can scroll on the page. If the iframe is too small, if it's less than 150 pixels, then I find, did I lose my, I find that they put an additional scroll bar right here for the iframe. And it's just cluttery, you know. Two scroll bars is enough. You can have it larger than 150 if you want, but then you have white space, which is unaccounted for. So take it from me, if a little bit of trial and error, and I'll tell you 150 pixels taller. And I find that this is a good height. It's okay for mobile and, you know, for different platforms. So feel free to go into the course, just copy this code, and then you would replace this content with the file, the URL of your file, and then know that I mentioned at the bottom here, this is some code that Instructure adds on afterwards, and so it's going to be there. You don't have to actively put that in there, and so just ignore it. Don't let that make you panic. The basic iframe code is essentially saying this is an iframe. Here's the source. Here's the width, and here's the height. So this is my page. I'm going to click in the edit so we can look in the back end view, and I'm going to hop over to the HTML editor. I mean, here's the regular thing. You can see at the top here, I have my iframe. So this is essentially that top paragraph right there. That is my entire Pinterest board. So I referenced the file that I uploaded, and it fits right in Canvas. Everything below that is just the additional content that I was putting, the explanation of the code and all that, so you can ignore that. Tell them I'm not here. I don't know. If it's the authorities, I'm busy. I'll get back to them. So that's Pinterest. And so be creative with Pinterest. You can put that on an announcement. You can have it, you could put it on every module, like as a page in every module, and then it'll upload. It'll be the same content on each page, but as the semester progresses, then they would be able to access that content. Or if you have a course home, you could put it there. The next thing I want to talk about is Twitter, and I imagine people know what Twitter is. This is an example, and I borrowed this if you're in the Canvas community at all. I recommend that you be in the Canvas community. I got some ideas from Laura Gibbs, talked with her as I prepared this session, and she's an avid Twitter user, has great applications, great ideas. So what I did for this page, this is another content page with the title. I created a table, and it's essentially three columns. One column has this boilerplate text. It's called Hipster Ipsum because it's all trendy. You probably haven't heard of it, so a couple people got that. And I have a column that's pretty much nothing. I just have a few spaces just because I like a little bit of space between the content. And then in my other column, I have a Twitter feed with hashtag InstCon. And so that's one way that you can have some content on the page, and then you can have a Twitter feed. You can determine, you know, how wide the Twitter feed would be, how much real estate it takes up. And you can see I can scroll down all of our fun tweets for the day. And then at the bottom of the page, I set up another column, or a table with 3 columns, just to showcase different things. So everybody knows about hashtags probably. You can follow a hashtag. You can also put a profile in there. So this is a Twitter account that I just created for this conference at InstCon. Don't know why it was available, Canvas people, but it was, so I took it. And then people have been tweeting at InstCon thinking that it's something, and I'm getting these tweets. Sorry, guys, but it's just me. Nothing. So you can see some of the tweets for my conference session for the conference. I just put that for the session. There are things called Twitter chats, and Canvas has some every once in a while. So I incorporated the Canvas chat, and that's essentially when people get together, like from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern time on the 3rd Wednesday of the month, and they'll talk about something ed tech or talk about social studies in K-12. And so that might be a fun thing to embed in there. And there are also lists. Twitter users will actively curate lists, and you can subscribe to those lists. So this is a list on education, ed tech, ed chat that somebody puts together. And so it's more curated, I'd say, than maybe a Canvas chat or my tweets or whatever. So let's hop over to Twitter. I'm going to close down Pinterest. There are different ways that you can embed, that you can put Twitter into Canvas, and there are apps, LTI tools that you can use. And I think the best way is actually to make a widget from Twitter and embed it into your course, because you get all of the interactions. It looks nicer. You get links. You can hyperlink. You can see the minute. All of this information is the way it looks on Twitter, and it looks that way in the course. So I think that creating a widget is the best way to go. So this is my Twitter account that I created just for this session. And I heard from, I think, the CEO that this conference cost them millions of dollars. So if they're interested in the domain, InsCon, be available after if you want to talk, if you want to negotiate. So you'll have your icon in the top corner here. You're going to click on settings. It's really just 2 clicks to get to the widget page. Settings and privacy, and then at the bottom, widgets. I don't know why it's not a little bit easier, but that's essentially how you do it. So again, settings, and then widget is one of the settings where you can create a widget. I've created 2 widgets here, but I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. And it's easy, and there are different things that you can do. I'm going to create a profile. I think the profile is the best, and then you'd say, what do you want to embed? And as I click on this, they even give you examples. Do you want to embed a collection, a profile, a tweet? And so my profile, let me back up a little bit here. Let's see. InsCon, how do I get to? I'm going to copy that, show you one more time. Settings, widgets down there, profile. And I'll just copy my Twitter feed, which is so that would be my post. You can also put a hashtag if you want, and then there are different options. And so I'm going to put maybe an embedded grid or embedded timeline. A timeline might be good. I don't know what that is. They've changed this since 2 days ago. Something's not right. Why did they change it? Oh, there it is. That's what I'm used to seeing. All right, so I put embedded timeline, and then there's some code right here. I'm going to go ahead and copy that code, and let me show you what that looks like on Notepad. It's real easy, so it's a little bit of HTML. I'm not even going to talk about what that means. All you have to do is copy that HTML and put it where you want it in your course, and click Save, and you're done. But you have to go into the HTML editor is the thing. So if I were to put, let me put that right at the top of the page here. I'm going to paste that. So there's my widget that I just created, and I'll save that. Wait for it to load up a little bit, and that feed will appear right at the top of the screen. And our internet's a little buggy-ish, but that'll essentially, when it loads up, that it should look just like one of these Twitter feeds. And Twitter's an interesting thing. You can tweet out to students. You can also create a hashtag just for your course. So it could be, a hashtag like InsCon. I don't know why that's not loading up. Something. Hashtag InsCon. It could be hashtag what course are you teaching? IO 527. Or it could be more specific, just for your summer course. IO 527 Summer 2017. Create a hashtag so the students would, the more unique it is, the more other people aren't going to come into your hashtag. If you do hashtag Justin Bieber, who knows what what you're going to see there. And so that'll appear right on your page there. So yeah, be creative about the assignments. I might have done something wrong with that code right there. I don't think I did, but all right. So there's Twitter. I'm going to hop over to yeah. Not the way that I'm showing you. So the question is, there's hashtags. Can you pull in hashtags from not just Twitter, but Instagram and other things? There probably is. That's not my, it should be because I'm presenting on social media. But does anybody know, are there tools that that you can embed into a website that'll curate hashtags from various social media platforms? Okay. So there are options. This option is about $5 per month, but it would curate a common hashtag across many domains. So it sounds like that could be an option as well. Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, there are some options out there. What were they called again? Snap Widget. So Snap Widget might be one, and yeah, so it's worth researching. A lot of these platforms, including the next one that I'm going to show you, they're free, but then if you pay them a little bit of money, they're going to give you a bit more functionality, and so we're ed tech people, so we kind of know that's the business model. They'll give you a good product, but they're going to give you a great product for $5 a month. Another question? Oops. Yeah, so how? Oh, on page you can embed any of this stuff on any page that has content. So an announcement, wherever there's a rich text editor, announcements, and you can't put it in the gradebook. Not that you'd want to do that, but assignment pages, discussions. You can do it on the discussion instructions, but also on a discussion posts if you need to. And I've done interesting things where I have them create an infographic for one of my courses, and I give them several platforms that they can choose from, the Canva and whatever. And then I tell them, okay, now we're going to have a discussion. It's not really a discussion, but I set up a discussion thread and tell them, embed your infographic as your initial posts, and then comment on 3 other people's infographics. What do you like? What could be improved and stuff. So that's kind of the assignment. It's not a traditional discussion per se, but it's interactive. And then I create some animated GIFs on the discussion page, showing them what to click in order to embed it, kind of showing exactly what I'm showing right now, how to embed something in HTML right in the discussion post. So you can be creative. I mean, discussion posts can't and probably shouldn't be just text, a bunch of text comments. Put some videos in there, put some YouTube videos, put links to pictures, make them interactive, because we got all these tools. So I'm gonna, I'll take some time for Q&A. I'll linger as long as you guys want to in the hallway, and I'm just gonna try and leave a few minutes at the end as well. But I wanted to show a platform called Padlet. We talked about Pinterest. Padlet is kind of like Pinterest, but I think it's better in some ways, not as good in some ways. But it's worth exploring if you've never heard of Padlet. So, kind of with this idea of a bulletin board and you're pinning things, here's what my Padlet is looking like. I just put together some my field psychology. In fact, if you want to access this Padlet that I'm showing right now, the QR code's right up top, right there. You can access that. Otherwise, I think I made the URL pretty easy too, like Padlet. Well, I'll figure it out. So this is the platform. You can sign up for free. There are premium options that make it look much prettier and stuff. But I'm kind of a free. I dabble with lots of platforms and just do the free versions for most of those. I do give money to some here and there. And so here's my Padlet. I have various pictures, articles, some videos. A comic, dang, we're wearing the same dress, whatever. I can put a new content on here. I can either click on there or drag and drop. I can put a title, I can write something, I can incorporate things from the internet if there's a web page that I want to put on, or a file, or a picture, or a video that I want to put on there, then I can do that. So my Padlet is called Integrating Social Media in Canvas, the name of this session for InstructureCon. But I have some options, so I can modify this, modify the title, the description. I can put different backgrounds, whichever I want. They have many more. Like, they're pretty good images, I think. You can add your own image as well. There are premium options for theming. Given the 0017, I chose a kind of a file brief folder, but you can choose from more icons that better suit your whatever it is. You can tag it. Okay, so here's this Padlet. It's padlet.com/my name Sean_Nufer/InstCon. is the name of this Padlet, so you can access it. I think I made it. In fact, I'll talk about the options for privacy and such. Now, Padlet, just like Pinterest, this is something you can push out to the students. You can be actively curating this and say, hey, students, follow along with interesting articles or whatever. Or you can invite students to actively pin. Or you can even make an assessment out of it. You need to pin some things and write a description about it as part of a formal assignment. Or you can make it group projects. Like you guys, each of you come up with a Padlet and then share it in the discussion board. So I'm going to click Share and Embed. I can copy the link to the thing. I can embed it in my website, which it's going. Don't panic. I know I felt some blood pressure rising in the room here, but all this alphanumeric gibberish is the HTML code. You don't need to know what any of that is. You just need to copy it. You'll go into Canvas and any of your pages, and you'll paste it wherever you want it. And a good approach. Suppose I'm going to delete this whole thing. Here's a trick for you. You can go to the rich text editor. Rich text editor means you can see all of these things, and it appears. So I'm going to put, my content, my narrative, instructions, whatever, blah blah blah, and I have more content down here, and I know this is where I want to have my Padlet. So my trick is I make something really obvious, like a bunch of A's, so that when I go into the HTML editor, I can see this might be a much more full page, but I can search for all those A's, and I can even control find. I'm on a PC, and I can search for A's. Okay, there it is, right there. I'm going to highlight all of that. I'm going to hit a bunch of hard enters, and I'll go ahead and paste that code. Oops, I thought I copied that. Let me see. Copy that code, and I'll paste it right there, and so that should be right where I want it. And so I can see here's my narrative. My Padlet is embedded right in there, and then I have my other narrative, so I'm going to cancel that. And so you can see now, interestingly, I can also, somebody's pinning from over here, so somebody just put something on my Padlet board. Somebody over here, this is my good slide, no, I was just kidding. All right, so you can see that I'm on the browser version, but also in the course, I didn't even have to refresh the Canvas page, and the interaction already refreshes. And if I were to go ahead and click something else, let's see, I'm going to add, I don't know, something else. I'm adding something. I'm not very creative necessarily. Hop over here, and you can see that appeared instantly, pretty much. And so you don't have to wait, and if I delete that, then there, I deleted it. So you don't even have to refresh Canvas pages. It's really good that way. So you can share it by QR codes. Now there's a tab up here called People and Privacy. So I have this for secret, meaning people can't really search for it, but since you have the URL, you can access it. So anybody that you give the URL, you can password protect it. You can make it private so nobody can access it unless you specifically type in their names, like the student email addresses. Or you can make it public that, hey, and want to collaborate on a thing. Those who can access, what kind of access can they do? Can they read? Can they write? Can they moderate? And so I would put it in my course, I'd probably put it for secret, and that's my admission is I haven't actually used Padlet in my course. I haven't had an opportunity yet, but I'm anxious to get that. So I'm going to put it for secret, and those with access can write. I want the students to be able to post as well. I don't care that they can moderate, that's not important to me. And so then I'll go ahead and save that. And I can also put, if it's my one of the graduate courses and there's only like 6 students, maybe I'll just put in their email addresses or their usernames, have them create a Padlet account and give me their username. And then the export, you can email it, you can save it. I wouldn't save it as an image or a PNG because that's static. And if you update anything, then you would have to resave it and re-upload. So embedding is better in that sense than uploading images and PDFs into Canvas, if it's not at all a possibility. So that's a basic overview of Padlet, and have fun with that. In my last few minutes, let's see, 3:40, right? Cool. I'm going to talk about YouTube, and people already know that YouTube plays well with Canvas. You can copy a YouTube link, drop it in a content page, and it has a little player. But I'm going to propose that that's great. I mean, I came from an LMS platform that didn't even have that functionality. I had to use JavaScript back in the day before HTML5 to get videos, and it was painful. So I'm very grateful for that Canvas you're able to copy and paste a link into Canvas, which is what I did right here. I copied and pasted that. It has it should be a little like thumbnail or something, but I can play that in there, and it uses the Canvas player. Or you can embed video, and I'm going to suggest that embedding a video using HTML code that YouTube provides is better than just copying and pasting. Now, the advantage that even technophobes, they can copy and paste, and so it's a good way for them to integrate YouTube with their LMS, with their classrooms. But I'm going to go ahead and go to my channel, and I'll just click on a video. This is a webinar that one of my student workers did today. I'll go ahead and pause that, because what I need is right below the title is a share button right here. I'll put it up towards the top of the screen here. So I'm going to click share and embed. Embed is a word that I've been using a lot in this presentation, and it's essentially they're giving me some code, and I'm going to put that code in the HTML window in Canvas. And so I'll go ahead and copy that. And there are more options as well. If you know the specific size, 640 by 360, that's a pretty decent size. I think that renders well in mobile. I think it's a good size to put in our Canvas courses. If for some reason you want a more customized size, then you can choose that. Suggest videos when the film finishes. I'd probably say no, because you don't really know what's going to pop up at the end, and maybe you don't want them tinkering off, and you want them to stay in the course and not get distracted, because millennials. Whatever. Show player controls, I would keep that. So look at the options, and this is what an embedded code looks like. Now this is a live session, which I'm going to talk to you about in about approximately 4 minutes and 24 seconds, how live videos work. But let me drop that video into here. I'll scroll down to the bottom, and let me do that trick first. So I have that set up in tables. I know that I want to place that video right about there, so I'm going to hop over to the HTML editor and just look for that. Hit a few hard returns just for visual. I know I'm going to copy that or paste that right into there. So that's the video. And now you can just see the difference between pasting a URL into Canvas and embedding a code. You have a title. You have you can share it, more options. When I play it, then I have all the YouTube options, which Canvas, their people do great things, but YouTube, they have a lot of options, and I like the YouTube player. I just think it's a good thing, and the fact that you can customize the size, so it's not a thumbnail that pops out. So both options have advantages. But yeah, that's the advantage of embedding a video. I think it's a good approach. So the other thing I'm going to show you, if you have a Google account, if you have a YouTube account, hopefully you do, I'm going to hop over to my channel. I'm going to go to Video Manager and show you some live streaming. Has anybody live streamed in YouTube before? A few people have done live streaming. Now, we're all familiar with web conferencing, webinars. Anybody use GoToMeeting or Zoom or collaborations what do they call it in Canvas? The conferences, sorry, big blue button. They're doing a good job too. But you can also do a web conference through YouTube. If you have a department channel or a professional channel or whatever, then you can do that. So I know I just have a couple minutes, but I'll show you. So you click on, essentially you log in and you click youtube.com live_dashboard, or go to the video manager and then go to this live session. You can create events, just like our institution uses GoToMeeting. So I can create a new live event. You can title it whatever you want, and so you'd edit the information. You'd say, do you want to do this right now, or do I want to schedule it for Thursday at 7 o'clock a.m.? Jeez, no, I don't even know what that means, 7 a.m. I'm a morning person, as long as it starts at noon. Put a description. You can put private, whatever. So it's just like setting up a YouTube event. You'd create an event. Now, I've already created an event, so I'm going to leave, and I actually created an event called InstructureCon. And so you can actually give a live session, and it will play live in your Canvas page. And the good thing about that is, you might use GoToWebinar, and you do a session, and then you have to save the video and render it to your computer, and then you upload it to YouTube. If you run it right through YouTube, then it will save on your YouTube channel. You don't have to do anything. It's just there. And plus, it's already in your course. And so even if students miss it, they can just review the content there, and they can see it. So let me see if I can. Well, I would start this, but it looks like we're wrapping up, and 10 minutes for Q&A. The course tiny URL is tinyurl/instacon0017. All right, so I'll be around for a few more minutes. I can take questions. We're going to pass around a microphone. That's my cue. That's the equivalent of the hook. They're trying to be polite about it. The hook's antiquated. Does anybody have a question? Any questions, or do you guys want to take off? So the question is an example of how you could use Padlets in class. Yeah, either you as the instructor can curate it throughout the semester, and just if you find something interesting online, it could be a video, a website, a picture that you took. You could write out a description of something, put it on there, and the students would have access to that. Or you can throw it out to the students, say, you're responsible, and there's so many options. You could say, each of you create a Padlet account and curate it through, until the midterm, and then I'll evaluate, your curation, or a group assignment, like group A, group B. You do a Padlet on, social psychology, you do a Padlet on forensic psychology, and share it, with each other, or, split up the groups, a jigsaw method, if you're familiar with that, so. Yeah. Hey, here's a good idea. Have the students create a Padlet as their introduction posts. Have them post a picture of their dog, their vacation, their alma, whatever. Yeah, that would be pretty fun. They can embed it in a discussion post, in a discussion, or a wiki page or something. So that would be awesome. So the question is, and this will be open, what are the pedagogical advantages to Twitter? We have online folks as well here, and I'll mention that's kind of, social media is a way, the LMS can be it can have a siloing, isolating effect, that it's online, but it's not really part of the internet. And Twitter's the one way that you can bring that in, but you can't necessarily curate all of the content that comes in. You could, have strange stuff. So the question, what are some of the pedagogical advantages to Twitter? What do you guys think? Right here. Yeah. Can I summarize that real quick, just for the online folks? So one thing you can do is have the students follow influential people within their fields who are tweeting, as well as they can, as they have produced deliverables, they can tweet those out and share it with the world and keep it succinct. 144 characters. You mentioned one other thing, follow trends, like world trends, or. while they're reading. Yeah, you can tweet influential people. I remember the first celebrity who responded to me. It was Penn Jillette, you know? And I was like, Penn Jillette, I felt like I was being touched by, you know, a magician. But yeah, I mean, people are accessible. Jewel said yesterday, you know, she interacts with people on social media, on Twitter. And so yeah, reach out to the Dan Ariely's and whoever else is, Phil Zimbardo, Mitt Romney. I don't know if he's on Twitter, but if you want. But any other? Oh, we gotta leave. So that's a legitimate fire alarm. That's my hook. Thanks, everybody.